If you're looking for proof that you can overcome your addictive behavior and your inability to control your alcohol consumption, then get comfy because you found it. Hey, I'm Magnify Maggie. I'm the creator of the Magnify Method, which is an alternative recovery approach that teaches you to think different in order to drink different or never again. Today, we're going to talk about ways that you can actually start controlling your alcohol consumption, finding harm reduction success, which is the formal term for just cutting back, and eventually getting to the point where addiction is a thing of the past and you call yourself maybe an ex-addict, ex-alcoholic, or ex-drunk. Whatever the case, it's gonna be behind you. I grew up as a child of an alcoholic, and now I'm an adult child of an alcoholic. ACOA or COA, it's actually a psychological profile of children of alcoholics that grow up to either become alcoholics themselves or marry them. Sadly, that's a statistic. So when I was only 13, even though I despised alcohol, I had lost my brother tragically to suicide, I began drinking myself in order to escape the pain and try to find some sense of joy and happiness. And fast forward 15 years, I had received multiple DUIs. I was kicked out of the military. I then transitioned into a corporate job where I worked 10 years climbing the ladder and ended up having to step down because I got too drunk too many times and lost all my credibility. I was never able to control my drinking, yet somehow in my psychology, I was thinking that alcohol was never the issue. So there I was 5 to 6 times a week drinking 10 plus ounces of hard liquor in one setting. Very quickly, in the blink of an eye, I was stumbling. My friends would call me baby deer. So visualize a baby deer learning how to walk. That was me after about an hour at the bar. So needless to say, I could not stop after one drink. And I would question to myself, is this truly my future forever? Am I literally going to become my mother? And in all reality, that was happening until I decided to do new things. And here's where that really sad story became a really happy story. In 2020, 1 month before quarantine happened, before COVID, the whole nation shut down, I went to a wedding with my husband and I had a pretty embarrassing night. And to be honest, this wasn't even the most embarrassing night of all of my years, but it was just that one straw that broke the camel's back. My husband had just had cervical discs fused and he was wearing a neck brace. And at the wedding, I was, getting down, party girl Maggie, woo! And I got mad at him for not wanting to dance with because he literally could break his spine from it. I yelled, I screamed, I threw a fit. And the next day I woke up and I said, I've had enough of this. I had enough of the shame, enough of the guilt. In my perspective, I had hit rock bottom. And I said, I am going to do different. For me, the things that I learned in AA and the 12 steps never worked. And I somewhere intuitively picked up on this idea of, let me do the opposite. Let me do the opposite of what I have been conditioned to believe about alcohol recovery, about true sobriety. And so what I started to do was take my power back from alcohol and find ways to literally not think about it. Up until that point, I had had bouts of success using the gym as somewhat of a distraction. This is actually a true technique called the Substitution Method by Dr. Jordan Peterson. I intuitively picked up on it when I started saying, you know what, instead of just going to the gym and doing random workouts, which had proven a little bit effective, I would get like 3 to 4 weeks of sobriety under my belt sometimes. But I tried something different where instead of going in and doing random things, I was actually tracking and using a strategy and repeating workouts. And what happens when you repeat workouts is you see how strong you get. You see right before your eyes your physical progression. I started to utilize a system known as progressive overload, which is very, very known in the fitness industry and amongst personal trainers, which was my background. And I started to use this progressive overload, and no lie, I now credit progressive overload to being the first thing that transformed my life and quite literally saved it. Because I was focused on progressing my workouts, all of a sudden when I thought about anything that would maybe enable me to sleep in or make me lose my energy, that started to become really unappetizing. So it was literally this turn off to me to think, oh, let me drink, because I knew that was gonna get in the way of me seeing my gains in the gym. But here's the thing, not everybody loves working out. So in the Magnify method, I've used ways of encouraging people to progress with any goal. And I find that this is so impactful for people that have always found dissatisfaction in AA and the 12 steps, because that's really just putting all of the focus on something negative. And we need to replace that habit with something positive that encourages you to get excited for growth. An additional benefit to progressive overload is the biochemical feedback. Your body literally sends dopamine down your reward pathways so that you are excited and inspired to re-experience that win, to re-experience something that makes you feel good. And not to mention that dopamine alone has you feeling a little pep in your step. Another thing that I did was I started to give myself permission to go after my dreams, to go after my goals. Outside of just the gym, I had some career goals since I lost my position at that 10-year company. I wanted to really open up my own little concept of nutrition coaching and wellness coaching, the start of Magnify. And I actually started allowing myself to believe in that possibility. Up until then, my entire internal narrative was, Maggie, you can never do that. That's stupid. Why would you think that you could ever start your own company, that you could ever be healthy enough to coach other people to be healthy? Well, I started saying, that's BS. I stopped rooting into that, and I started asking myself, how can I move closer to that dream life? Instead of saying I can't and counting all of the reasons why I can't, I started to ask myself, how can I? And I started taking little steps every day to prove to myself how capable I really am. That was building my confidence. And let me tell you, confidence is something so much deeper than what you see in the mirror and liking your body. It's, do I have faith that I can do this? Do I feel excited at my potential? Because for 15, 16 years, I was not faithful that I had potential. I was not confident that I could pursue a dream and actually follow through on it and end in success. So when I stopped telling myself I can't do things and started asking, how can I started investing in programs and investing my energy into learning and studying. And I picked up on an old self-image hobby of mine from childhood, which was reading. I stopped reading when I was drinking, and so I picked that hobby back up and I immersed myself in reading personal development books. Not necessarily the average quit lit, but things like The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Things like Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. You Are Born Rich by Bob Proctor. These types of books, this type of awareness led me to understand the power of my thought and just how capable I really was. So I'm here to say that you don't have to buy into that old narrative of once you're an addict, you're always an addict, or addiction is a permanent disease. You can be whoever you want to be. The power of thought has cured stage 4 cancer. And you think it can't cure your own addiction? Think again. So if you're tired of believing that addiction is forever, once an addict, always an addict, I'm diseased, then now's the time to start thinking different. And if you loved this story, if you resonated with my past and also got excited about your potential future, then make sure you hit subscribe, because I'm gonna be dropping all kinds of motivation, education, inspiration, even fitness and nutrition tips and tricks here for you to start thinking different in order to drink different or never again.